Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Gameweek 6 KNEEJERK live stream. If I can remember what I was going to say. I'm sure there's lots of happy FPL managers in the chat after what has been an absolutely fantastic week of FPL. Points flying all over the place. Yeah, it's been awful. It's been absolutely awful. By far the worst week so far. Do we maybe put it down to a little bit of international break tiredness? Maybe. It really wasn't great, was it? Even worse if you're a Man United fan, having to watch them get absolutely smashed by Brighton. Spurs, 10 minutes away from losing. They win. Arsenal win. Man City win again. Chelsea, rubbish. It just wasn't a very good week at all. I think it's with weeks like this, you don't really learn too much either. I feel like you've just got to kind of got to accept it and move on, right? I mean, in some ways I'm kind of happy about this week because when Son blanked and Newcastle kept a clean sheet, I'm thinking, oh dear, if Everton score and Sterling smashes it, my swing of transfer points is going to be really bad. But actually, it didn't really make any difference whatsoever in the end. So it could have been a lot worse. And in some ways, I'm kind of glad I'm one Chelsea player down. Chilwell got benched. Estepinian wasn't in the squad at all. João Pedro benched again, although he did come off and score, I guess. But yeah, great week. How did everyone do? If you got over 40 points, you're probably loving life. I'm now ranked just inside the top 1 million, so I've fallen like 600,000 places. I did say, to be fair, on my team selection videos early on, that overall rank can change very quickly this early on in the season. And so the fact you can drop this much means you can, climb that much in 1 week as well. So, yeah, it is what it is. Champions League this week as well, European matches in general, so we can't even really make too many early transfers, even though maybe this is the kind of week I need to make early transfers. Who knows? Who knows? TMS Killer out, thank you very much for becoming a member. My moves work for once. Jackson and Bruno out. Salah and Alvarez in. -4, 13-point swing. Very nice. Very nice. Man United so bad. That midfield is such a mess. The Man United game went, for me, a little bit like the Spurs game in that they created chances, like Rashford, for example. If you watched that game and you weren't a Rashford owner, you're probably a little bit worried. I mean, his ownership isn't massively high, I guess, but must have been a little bit worried there. It did look like he came close a few times. And then as soon as they conceded, it was like the game was gone. It was just like they gave up. They just couldn't get the ball back off Brighton. Brighton was so much better. Like, first 20 minutes, Man United were okay. And they could have gone 1-0 up. But they didn't, and then they had no clue about how to get back into the game. It really was terrible. If you want me to kind of, not even sugarcoat it, that's the wrong word. If you want to try and give you some positives, if you're holding Man United players, they've played 3 teams that are probably better than them right now. Brighton, Arsenal and Spurs. And they've got Burnley away this week. It surely cannot get any worse. But it is going to be another week of me having to explain why I'm keeping hold of Rashford and Fernandes. They are definitely nowhere near the top of my transfer thoughts for next week. I'm definitely gonna keep them. Should call this stream "Sorry Salah." Well, not really. I mean, we all knew Salah was good, right? And he is. He's great. But it just doesn't really fit in right now. But from game week 9 and 10, he's definitely going to be in, 100%. And I think it's going to be one of those weeks again where everyone focuses on certain players. Like, okay, Man United attack is not great. What about Maddison? A couple of weeks ago, Maddison's being touted as absolutely essential. He's played Burnley away and Sheffield United at home. He's got 1 return. Like, no one did well this week. No one did well. Unless you had Newcastle defenders or Alvarez or Salah, you've probably done really bad. It just is what it is. Jackson's poor. He only returned points against Luton Town, and even that goal was a back post tap-in. By the way, I think I'm not going to say what I was going to say, but I think when you say it was just a tap-in, that's like really bad analysis of, like, it's not like he was in the wrong, like, just got lucky to be in the position he was in. I hate when people say that Haaland's just a tap-in merchant. Like, it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. You got to be in the right place, right time. But Jackson was really bad today. that's the poor. I would say that Chelsea have done okay in most games I've watched them, but that is the worst I've seen them this season for sure. They were not good today at all. And Bournemouth offered not very much either. I mean, let's be fair. Sterling was inches away from getting a return. You go 1-0 up, Bournemouth start chasing the game. Maybe you score more. But outside of that, I don't really remember a huge amount of chances. But yeah, I'm not going to sit here and tell you Jackson is amazing because he's not. Am I going to keep him for next week? Maybe. My moves are all going to come down to what's going on with Chilwell, because Pochettino before the game kind of made it sound like he wanted to play Mudryk because they wanted a more attacking player playing left wing. But then the commentator during the game said that Chilwell didn't play because he had a slight knock, and that's what Maurizio Pochettino had said. Now, I don't know whether the commentator just got it wrong or he's heard something that we haven't seen, but we obviously need to wait for more information. But Chilwell is obviously now a problem, right? I've actually for next week, the great thing about I'm looking at all the positives here. One, I don't have to worry about my Man United players. There's more things to talk about. And also, no one's goalkeeper has done great, so I don't even have to get any comments about Pickford this week. So I'm just going to keep Pickford. But yeah, next week, I need to make a defender change. I knew that was going to have to happen as soon as I brought Son in. So Saliba to a Newcastle defender was my plan. But interestingly, I can just afford, and I spoke about this on the deadline stream, I think, or maybe on the YouTube member stream, I can just afford Botman and Trippier for Chilwell and Saliba, and I've got 2 free transfers, so that's tempting. But that obviously means I've got to keep Jackson one more week, which, yeah, I think I'll probably have to. If I don't do that, if Chilwell looks like he's going to play, then I could do Jackson to Alvarez or Morris. I mean, it sounds rubbish when you say it out loud to bring in Morris, and just do the Newcastle defender switch for Saliba and just do that. So that's probably my moves right now that I would consider. But I think I've got to bring a Newcastle defender in this week. The good thing is, because there's things starting to pile up to do now, and obviously there's fixture changes and stuff like that, I'm going to have a bit more long-term faith in my players. I'm not going to be able to make these luxury moves like Martinelli to Sterling, Sterling to Son, etc. So I know I saw some comments before I started the live stream to say I'm probably going to sell Son this week. I'm not going to sell Son unless he's injured. No chance. Because even if he doesn't play number 9 and Richarlison gets put there, which I don't think will happen against Arsenal, but it could happen, I guess. He's still going to play, so there's no need to sell him. No need to sell him. I did say that on deadline stream. We did talk Son up as if like he was the best player in FPL all of a sudden. It was a bit of a knee jerk, but it is what it is. Sheffield United at home. I feel like that's the kind of fixture you can take a punt on. You said on Twitter it's easier to get Salah without a wildcard. How? Because part of the reason to wildcard is to get rid of all my Chelsea players. But if I'm forced to get rid of Chilwell earlier, that's one less Chelsea player, and it also gives me a bit of extra money. But I think a lot would depend on whether I get Trippier or not. I need to do a bit of planning, to be honest. It's too much to think about right now. It's too early to start locking stuff in. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do. Is a -8 worth it to bring in Salah? Almost certainly not, I would say. I mean, Salah is returning, right? But he's still a lot of money. So, I mean, unless you're going to captain him, which you're not, probably. I mean, Haaland's got Forest at home. By the way, I know he's usually so highly owned it doesn't really matter. But Son and Maddison captainers got away with one because Haaland, if you didn't watch the game, like it wasn't on TV in the UK or Ireland, how Haaland has not walked away with a hat-trick or more, I do not know. And like sometimes you'll watch a game and you'll think they could have scored a hat-trick, and then you'll look at the expected goals and it'll be like 0.7 or something like that. In this case, he had 2.56 expected goals on his own. Absolutely insane. He only came away with 6 points in that game. So if you didn't captain Haaland, that was a bit of a let-off. I would definitely be captaining him this week. So again, there's not really a mad rush for me to get Salah. I'll probably delay that. I did see someone earlier, I can't remember who it was now, suggesting getting Salah in game week 8. And I thought, well, why do you need him in game week 8? Because the fixtures aren't fantastic. But if I'm thinking about taking... And they made a really good point. I think it was Donut Assassin. What a name. If I'm taking out Saka to get Maddison in game week 8 to cover the 2 good fixtures from Spurs to then wildcard in game week 10, I could just get Salah at that point and not then wildcard. So I might actually have to rethink when I'm going to bring Salah in. But I'll see. Could do Pickford to play Kabori versus Wolves. Yeah, playing Kabori versus Wolves is not necessarily the worst option. That is something I will consider. I'm not doing Pickford to Pope, though. I don't think so, anyway. But yeah, not a bad option, because I could keep Saliba then for... I could just do Chilwell to Botman and just keep Saliba and play him against Bournemouth away. No, I would only need to bring in 1 Newcastle defender then. Well, I don't think I'm going to go to Pope, though. It's a lot of money. I guess the thing I'm thinking about right now is what moves... I guess I need to decide very soon when I'm wildcarding, because that will affect the other moves I make. And if I'm not sure about wildcard, I need to keep my options open. And I feel like getting Morris in, for example, for Luton, for the double, that definitely pushes me closer to a wildcard, because I'm going to have to get him back out again afterwards. And tying up 5.5 million in Nick Pope, I'm just not sure about that either. Maddison should have had a penalty in the first half. Yeah, that should have been a penalty, to be fair. Maddison owners maybe got a little bit unlucky. Yeah, and Son might have taken it. Yeah, look, these things happen in FPL. I think I might be the only person that's kind of happy with this week, because the damage that could have been done by going Son instead of a Newcastle defender could have been big. And I got to be honest with you, if I was free hitting this week and I had a choice between Son or Sterling, I would definitely take Sterling because of Aston Villa at home. I don't know if I'm that worried about not having him now, all of a sudden. And I know that's a quick change of tune, I know. But I just think Son against Arsenal, I mean, it's away, it's going to be tough, but who knows? Maybe he'll get something. Quick wildcard draw. I'm probably not going to go through wildcard. I've not given it any thought for game week 6, so it wouldn't be any value, I would say. Paul Van Duren, thank you very much. Have 2 free transfers and 2.1 million in the bank, but seriously thinking about wildcard and Chilwell, Sterling, Jackson, Watkins, Rashford, SGP, Hand, Johnson and Turner as well. No confidence in all going forward. Talk me out of it. I think I saw Praz say this on Twitter, and I fully agree. If you're thinking about making knee-jerk transfers or wildcarding, just at least give it until tomorrow, and you'll probably feel a little bit different. So just running through those players really quickly. Watkins from game week 8. I know that's still a couple of game weeks away, but Watkins from game week 8 is a player a lot of people are going to look at. Rashford had 6 shots in the box and an assist that was like centimetres from being given, and he's got Burnley away next. Estupinian was out of the squad, probably because he was rested because of the internationals. Now, I am slightly concerned about that moving forward because Lamptey played really well, so there is an option there now that they can play left back. But ultimately, if Estupinian's going to play against Bournemouth, that's a great fixture. Chilwell, Jackson, and Sterling, fair enough, but you've got 2 free transfers. You can deal with 2 of them in one go. So I don't think Sterling's a problem really. So you could just deal with Chilwell and Jackson if you wanted to. Jackson to Alvarez, Chilwell to Trippier if you wanted. Bruno Fernandes was playing centre-back towards the end of the game. Absolutely ridiculous. Daniel, what to do with Chilwell and Estupinian? Right now, I'm not panicking on Estupinian. My plan is just to play him against Bournemouth at home and then probably hold on to him until game week 10. I mean, I could sell him ahead of Saliba, but that feels wrong now, given that he's got Bournemouth. Rashford and Fernandes also. I mean, I'm keeping them. It's Burnley away. It's Burnley away. I can't sell players before that kind of fixture. I know I sold Sterling before Bournemouth. I'm a massive hypocrite. I get it. But that was for Son against Sheffield United at home. That's a bit different. I think Rashford and Fernandes are perfectly fine to hold right now. But that's just me. I think this week we're going to get fixated on the fact that Man United... I mean, to be fair, Rashford's only returned in 2 games and Fernandes 1 game. So I kind of get it. But no midfielders did well this week. Why are we just pinpointing them? I mean, they did get smashed by Brian, so I kind of get it. FPL Tomato member for 14 months. Thank you very much. Free milestone chat. People would say this game is rubbish. FPL is rubbish. Yeah, we shouldn't play it. Thank you very much for that. Chocolate Toes, quick wildcard. Oh, yeah, I just spoke that. Have you seen Arteta comments on the Martinelli injury? I saw something after the game that said he felt something in his hamstring, I think. But obviously they're going to have to wait for an update on that. Trossard, hold or sell. Had him since game week 1. Well, if Martinelli's out, he's a hold, isn't he? He should start. So, yeah, if you've held him this long, maybe hold on a little bit longer. Rashford's underlying stats are amazing. I think he had like just over 0.6 expected goals versus Brighton. I will say, right, he did have a lot of shots. To be fair, I think some of them were blocked. I think one hit the side net, and they weren't exactly perfect shots from like 3 yards out or anything. But in general, if you watch that game, Rashford was probably Man United's best player. I also think at times you could see the link up between them and Højlund working quite nicely. But again, once the goal went in, that was it. Brighton were just a better team. By a distance, I would say. Is Raya number 1? Nice price, but will they rotate? I mean, I can't tell you. I can't tell you. I mean, it looks obviously promising that he's now number 1 moving forward. But is that definite now? Possibly. I really don't know. At some point, I mean, look at Brighton, for example. Steele starts, then Verbruggen starts too. Now, Steele started the last one. Is Arteta likely to rotate that much? I would say probably not. But it's probably not worth going for now anyway. They've got Spurs at home, then Bournemouth away, then Man City, Chelsea. I think for anyone that's looking to wildcard around game weeks 9 or 10, you can see what happens over the next few fixtures and then decide. But I wouldn't be rushing out to change your goalkeeper to Raya, personally. Højlund is only 12, true. Decision for the Villa pen correct, you think? I didn't see it. I haven't seen it. I haven't caught up on all the highlights from every single game. So that's my honest answer. I won't pretend otherwise. Wildcard in game week 8 with good fixtures up to 14, 15. Yeah, you could wildcard in game week 8. I mean, 8, 9, and 10 are all got different reasons for going for. Am I concerned that we'll see Son on the left again, Richarlison with the all-important impact? I mean, a little bit. I think if you've dropped Richarlison for Son and then you give him Burnley and Sheffield United, you probably don't change that for Arsenal away and Liverpool at home. But again, no guarantee with that. Ultimately, I'm not really worried about Son now. He's just going to be a hold for the next 3 to 4 game weeks. I think over the last couple of weeks, I've made some moves that maybe I wouldn't usually do, but I've been in a position where I've had no other moves to really make. I know people obsess about changing goalkeeper, but it hasn't been something I've been massively worried about. But this week now, you know, I've got Saliba against Spurs at home. Chilwell might not start. Nicholas Jackson isn't looking great. Like I said, there's suddenly issues starting to pile up. So worrying about whether Son's going to play 9 or left wing, I don't care. I'm keeping him anyway. He's just not going to be worth a transfer now. If everything looked great, and Chilwell was definitely starting, and Saliba had Burnley at home, and Jackson was putting in goals left, right, and centre, maybe I would consider selling Son, but not now. I think it's probably good for Richarlison to be taken out the spotlight as well. Like, I just think he seems to be going through some stuff. And to be fair, Ange Postecoglou seems like such a great manager, by the way. It's always horrible when clubs like Spurs or Liverpool or whoever have managers where they're likeable. I just don't think you throw him straight back in for Arsenal away. I just don't think that's what he would do now. So I suspect Son will play number 9 again. I think Solomon has been doing all right on the left as well. You got Perisic as well. I mean, I guess he did look happy because he scored, right? Need Grealish back as Alvarez is hurting rank. I don't think Grealish makes a difference. Honestly, I think Alvarez. I think everyone assumes Foden is the De Bruyne replacement. I think it's Alvarez. Like, if you look at what happened last season, most games when De Bruyne was rested, Alvarez played, not Foden. So I don't think Grealish matters. I think Grealish being back matters more to Foden than it does to Alvarez. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you Alvarez is nailed on, even though he's played 90, 90, 90, 89, 90. But his minutes look pretty good. And I don't know if Champions League is going to make a huge amount of difference. But I do feel like if you're going to buy him, you should be buying him this week for Forest at home. Because their fixtures do get worse. I know it's Man City, and look, if Alvarez keeps starting less than 7 million in this Man City team, he's going to be worth it even with those bad fixtures. But I think if you're going to buy him, it's probably got to be this week. Yeah, if Grealish is back, I'd be more, like I said, I'd be a bit more worried about Foden, to be honest. The Foden in Burmo, by the way, bet, and Burmo's still just ahead. I think it's like 1 or 2 points. Foden's now got Forest at home, Wolves away. And Burmo's got Everton at home, Forest away. It's going to be close. It's going to be close. If I didn't touch my team from game week 1, I would be 47 points up. That's mad. If I hadn't touched my team since game week 1, I would also be on more points, but only by like 3 or 4. Because I did Watkins to Jackson. I think that is currently 3 points down because Jackson's only scored once and he's got 2 1-pointers. And by the way, I don't know if I've mentioned this, but Jackson's on, I think I mentioned it at the start, Jackson's on 4 yellow cards. He's 1 away from a suspension. Mental. What What was I saying? Yeah, and then my other moves, Martinelli got an assist when I changed him to Sterling, so that's 3 points down. Then I changed Sterling to Son, and they got 2 points. So I'm still -1 from the Martinelli move. So I'm -4 points, I think. Love that people still say Forest at home is a great fixture. Clearly don't look at the defensive stats. Like, I've said this before. I think people massively. I think some people are exaggerating how good of a defense Forest is. If I've got a player against Forest at home, I'm pretty happy. I mean, Man United just put 3 against them. Turner won't start tomorrow, by the way. Their new keeper will be #1. I mean, you don't know that. So, I mean, it might happen. It might not. Pedro Neto looking good. Luton next. Did look good, yeah. Did look good. I don't think I would want to go there, though. It's a good fixture, but after that, do you really want to hold on to Wolves attackers? I feel like Wolves have... I've watched Wolves, I think I said on Twitter, like 2 or 3 times in full this season. They've always looked pretty good until they get to that final bit in front of goal. Forest didn't have 10 men for the whole game. They didn't score all 3 goals when they're down to 10 men. Would Gross be a good option against Bournemouth next week? I personally wouldn't be bringing in Brighton players. Bournemouth at home's good. The fixtures get bad after that. I mean, they're great attacks. So they'll probably score against all of them. But also you got European matches. I wouldn't really worry too much. I don't think I'd be buying Gross anyway. But that is just me. That is just me. So Chelsea put up, just so we can go through the stats here, Chelsea put up 2.3 expected goals against Forest. Man United put up 2.8 against Forest. And, I mean, Arsenal, that was a good game for Forest, 0.8. But 2 games, they've been pretty bad. So, I don't get this thing that keeps coming up that the Forest defence is good. Like, it might not be Luton bad, but... I mean, if we're not targeting Forest, like, who are we targeting? Wildcard and Gameweek 8. If I do that, what do you think to sell Maddison for Odegaard? Next 2 fixtures for Maddison are horrible, and after that I could bring him in. I don't mind selling Maddison. I don't know if Odegaard is where I would go, but yes, if you're gonna wildcard Nate, you can make moves like that. For sure. I know it was Wolves, but that Bellegarde debut was impressive. He did look good. Expected liveliness, I would say. But I don't know if there's... I don't know how much M product there's going to be. That's the problem. Everton, Fulham, Luton. Yeah, for sure. Bournemouth, another one I would target. Forest. Sheffield United, Burnley. I mean, they're all... I mean... you can't be telling me you've got a player with Forest at home and you're thinking, oh, that might not be a good fixture, that. It's nonsense, honestly. Game week 6, Pickford, Estepini and Chilwell. Would you wildcard? Nope. Bruno fine, Maddison Son fine, Sterling's okay, Haaland, Wissa. I mean, you could wildcard. I don't know if I would, though. Maybe you could. I don't think I would. Most of those players are okay. Your Man United bias is costing you points, but again, like, who scored points this week? Who should have I mean, a couple of weeks ago, people would have said to do things like Rashford to Maddison. They've had the same points since then, and Maddison's had better fixtures. I don't think the Man United players are that big of an issue. I think, like I said earlier, people get too fixated on certain players. Like this big thing, oh, well, Man United players got to go. But who else has done well this week? Who else has done well that I suddenly need to keep or bring in instead? It's the same situation with Pickford. People just get fixated that Pickford's got to go. And any goalkeeper I would have brought in over the last 2 or 3 weeks just hasn't done anything. Now, this week, Flecken would definitely be better than Pickford, that's for sure. But whether it's worth a transfer, I don't know. Our planning ahead has created most of our problems. Our teams look so good. Yeah, but the cracks will start to show now because when you made your team in game week 1, obviously you'd have looked at a block of like 4 to 6 fixtures, and obviously that block of fixtures is starting to run out now. Champions League is starting. I keep saying Champions League. European matches in general are starting. Injuries will start to crop up. The cracks will show in our teams now. Kulusevski getting no respect. Yeah, but is Kulusevski a top 3 Spurs player? Like, would you have Kulusevski ahead of Son or Maddison? Probably not. And then a lot of people have got Udogie as well. So, I mean, Kulusevski's okay. I mean, would you be saying he's not getting any respect if he hadn't scored at the weekend? Probably not, right? And then they've got Arsenal away, Liverpool at home. So you're not going to bring in Spurs players now. You might hold on to them, but you're not going to bring them in. I don't think. Any hope for Champions League fantasy content to come back? I would say almost 0 chance. Yeah, Ward-Prowse is doing well. Ward-Prowse is making me look like an idiot. I mean, look, I make myself look like an idiot anyway, so it's not a problem. I'm used to it. But Ward-Prowse in particular is absolutely smashing it. Yeah. He's returned every game. 2 assists, 1 goal, 1 assist, 1 goal. I mean, maybe. The fixtures are good for West Ham from game week 7 onwards. They've got Sheffield United at home, Newcastle at home, Villa away, Everton at home, Brentford away, Forest at home, Burnley away, Palace at home. The fixture run from 7 to 14 is pretty good. But have I got a spot in my midfield for Ward-Prowse? I would say probably not. Like, as much as you can keep going on about Man United attackers, I'm not going to swap Fernandes or Rashford for Ward-Prowse unless I need the money, I would say. Have you seen any trends so far? The game is all over the place, so wildcard delay seems optimal for now. I mean, it depends on your team, right? I wouldn't say there's too many trends. I don't think there's anything too crazy that's happened so far that would make me massively change my mind about most players. Like Jackson doesn't look great, but then he's always going to be a bit raw. Chilwell might have lost his place. Spurs are pretty good. Man United are hard. I don't know what to make of Man United, but they got Burnley away, so it doesn't really matter. Man United out. I'm getting Man United in this week. Fixtures rule. Yeah, for sure. I definitely would not do Jackson to Isak. I mean, Wilson just literally started the last game. I'm going to ignore Wilson and Isak, I think. I can't see too much of a reason to go for either. I mean, obviously I can. They're great players and the fixtures are good. Like, it could be that Isak's going to play the Champions League and Wilson's going to play the Premier League, but I just don't think it's that... I just don't think it's that easy to predict. Like, the time between games and stuff like that will play a big factor. Would I be worried if Man United don't beat Burnley? If they don't beat Burnley, that is not good, yes. Because that'll be 4 losses in the first 6 games. Then big questions will have to be asked. I'm not particularly worried though. I think the word unlucky is not what I'm looking for, but I just think the Man United games could have gone a little bit differently at times. Not Brighton, probably not. That was just Brighton being Brighton. They're just so good. But let's see. Man United lose to Burnley and Fernandes and Rashford don't look like scoring, then I've got a problem. Newcastle hasn't kept a clean sheet since game week 2 last season can at least come to an end now. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, they've had the stats for a long time. Their stats have been good defensively this season. They were good again against Brentford. They're a good option. They're just a good option. I still don't know whether I'm definitely going to find the money for Trippier. I might just go for Botman, or if I go for a double up, I might go Botman and share, but it all depends on future plans, I would say. On a small red arrow, despite getting 44 points, I don't know what's enough. Probably about 48, to be honest with you. Also, need another 12 plus 7 performance from Bruno and Rashford to quieten the haters. Yeah, I mean, you know me, like I can't keep saying this because I've literally done it recently, but I don't knee-jerk usually that much, and I don't think I'll sell my Man United players till game week 9. It's not a definite though. Like, if Son is looking great and Saka's looking great and I need to get Salah in, then I could drop both my Man United players to do that. I'm not against it, but it's not going to be before Burnley away. Just isn't. Knee-jerk tinkering. Jackson to Alvarez, Sterling to Matoma. I don't know if I would buy Matoma now. And Rashford to Salah for a -4. Yeah, I mean, buying Matoma for Bournemouth home is good. After that, maybe not so much. Rashford out for a -4 before Burnley away. It just doesn't sound great. I mean, without thinking about your team too much, I would probably just do Jackson to Alvarez and roll. That's probably all you need to do. I just think if you give your transfers a couple of days, you will think differently about them. Everything seems really bad now. It feels like you've got to get rid of loads of players. In a couple of days, it'll feel much better. People are saying that Salah hasn't blacked yet. That's why he's 12.5 million. Yeah, I mean, he's great. Like, I mean, we said all this during pre-season. It's not like he was just going to stop scoring and assisting. That's not why we don't have him. A lot of us don't have him because we've spread the money around instead, which I would say for the most part has worked. But when you have weeks like this, obviously it doesn't look so good. But again, you don't want to. If you weren't thinking about Salah last week, I don't know why you would suddenly think about him now. To be honest, especially for hits. Like, what's the rush to get him? You're not going to captain him this week. You're going to captain Haaland against Forest at home. So I just don't get the idea of taking hits to bring him in. There will be some people out there where the hit makes sense, but taking out players like Rashford for -4s before Burnley away. I mean, I've got Rashford vice captain right now. When is Reece James back? We don't know. Pochettino said he hopes he'll be back before the next international break, so he could have another 1, 2, even 3 games out. Who knows? If I had 2 free transfers, who would you bring in? I've got 2 free transfers. Got 2 free transfers. Why Botman and not Trippier? It all depends on how much money you've got, which players I take out, how much money I need for future moves. Like, at the end of the day, if you've got the money and it doesn't affect any other moves, then yeah, I would get Trippier. Yeah, actually, it should probably be Mbermo vice captain. Salah's XGI is insane. He's still involved in everything on the pitch. Yeah, I mean, it has been for 6 years. Like, what Salah is doing is not news to us. It shouldn't be news anyway. I don't, if people are now shocked that Salah is getting attacking returns, I'm not sure what you were expecting to begin with. I don't understand the concept of bringing in Salah only if you captain him. So I agree, right? I know I keep saying captain, right? But you're right. You don't have to own a player like that just for captain. But that should be a consideration for 12.5 million. Then why haven't I got him? Because he's 12.5 million. If you've not been paying attention for the last 5 weeks. So basically, if it's Salah plus, okay, so how much is Fernandes and Rashford? It's 17.5 million, I think, right? So Salah plus a £5 million midfielder, essentially, right? So Salah and Enzo Fernandez versus, have I done the maths right there? Yeah, I think I have. Salah and Enzo Fernandez versus Rashford and Fernandes. Now, it hasn't gone well so far, let's be honest. But I would expect this week Rashford and Fernandes to outscore Salah and Enzo Fernandez. So that's why I haven't got Salah. I know there's more to that. I could cheapen other positions, and I'd have more money to spend on that second midfielder. I get it, right? But for how the team is set up right now, that's kind of where I'm at. So I just don't need Salah at the moment. How do you see tomorrow's game going? What assets, if any, aside from Turner, interest you going forward? I suspect Forest will win. I mean, as much as I think we should be not necessarily going out of our way to target Forest, but I wouldn't worry if my player had Forest at home or Forest away. At home to Burnley, they should do fine. Probably Awani, that's about it. But I don't see me bringing him in anytime soon, not to hold long term. Positive thoughts on how to make good use of the early double game week, who to bring in. Honestly, I've kind of told myself I'm probably only going to bring in Morris and that's it. I don't know if I would spend transfers. The thing is, whoever you bring in, unless you can bench them, you're not going to want them much after that. So I just don't see the point, really, in spending too many transfers bringing them in. For anyone that's going to wildcard game week 8, maybe that's a bit different. You could go a little bit bigger on them. So you got like Lyle Foster, one of the goalkeepers, Bayer, I guess, but I don't see it being worth too many transfers, seriously. And I love double game weeks. I love going for as many players as possible, but for Luton, Burnley, I just can't see me doing it. I'm not even sure I'll definitely captain Morris. Yeah, see, like, I've got Kabori. I will play him in the doubles, especially if he starts game week 6 as well. But I wouldn't buy him for the double unless it was part of another move where I needed money. Turn a hat-trick tomorrow and I may stop complaining. You won't stop complaining. We'll all complain. Martin, 6 months member, thank you very much. Good evening. Wildcard with Edison, Turner, Chilwell, Trippier, Udogie, Kabori, SGP. Like, if that's your team, that just doesn't need a wildcard, right? Like, the thing is, again, I'll remind people their thoughts on Maddison a couple of weeks ago, right? What were the comments coming out? Maddison, almost essential, involved in everything that Spurs do. I don't care that he's got Arsenal and Liverpool. He's so good, I'm just going to have him anyway. And now all of a sudden, it's like he's being used as part of the reason to wildcard. And I get it, right? Some people have got a few issues, plus Maddison's got bad fixtures. But a couple of weeks ago, the narrative around Maddison was a lot different. And now all of a sudden, he's got one return against Burnley and Sheffield United, and then there's a bit of panic. Like, I would say if your plan was to keep him, then you can probably still do that. So I think, like that team, Edison's fine. Chilwell might be okay. Trippier is definitely fine. Udogie, you always knew he had bad fixtures. SGP you can play this week, and Burmo's great. Martinelli's an issue, but that's not much else, right? Diaby's fine. I think you're good. Chelsea's an issue right now, but Sanchez had 10 points. Yeah, if you had Sanchez, happy days. Best captain game week 6 other than the obvious Edouard. I mean, it's definitely Haaland. It's definitely Haaland. Forest at home. I won't even look elsewhere this week. Last week, you wanted to go for Spurs players over Haaland? Fair enough. This week, no chance. No one else. Not even Salah against West Ham. Do we know anything about Henry? No. Rico Henry obviously went off with an injury. Is it wise to get Maddison now or wait till game week 8? Definitely wait. Definitely wait. Like, if you've got him, you can hold him. No issues with that, but I wouldn't sell him. Yeah, I wouldn't buy him, sorry. When would you go for Alvarez, especially after Pep called him undroppable? So in classic FPL manager style, I thought Alvarez's minutes were pretty good, and I was thinking, maybe I could get him in at some point. But as soon as Pep said he's almost undroppable, that makes me think he's going to get dropped. It's like Pochettino was talking about how Chilwell's been playing left wing, he's been creating loads of chances, boom, bench, next game. That's just what I think about Alvarez now. He'll probably be dropped. He shouldn't be, by the way. I don't see the clamour for Trippier this season. He isn't as pivotal to the attack. You can double up on the other two for much cheaper. Yeah, and if you need the money, you shouldn't get Trippier. You're wrong in the idea that without Salah, you have a more balanced team. I have the same team as yours. Well, you don't have the same team as me if you've got Salah, do you? With Salah, Maddison, Sterling, Alvarez instead of Son, Rashford, Bruno, Jackson. Yeah, happy days. But that's not the same team, is it? I mean, it could absolutely work out better. Could absolutely work out better, for sure. But also might not. And also, there's a difference between having Salah from the start and then taking -4s and -8s to get him in, right? I mean, I've said the last 3-4 weeks, don't sell Salah if you don't need the money. I've said that over and over and over again, and every single time I've been asked that question. But there's a big difference between me now ripping my team apart to get him in and you keeping him. Like, you need to think differently about people's teams are just different. And there's different ways to think about players depending on the situation. And I also said on this week, the answer of if you need the money, sell him. If you don't, keep him. That's going to change soon because everyone's going to want Salah from game week 9 onwards, a minimum, maybe even before that. Thoughts on game week 9 wildcard-ish versus wildcard 18? You wouldn't want a wildcard in 18. You'd want to leave it till 19, I would say, so you can get after the Man City, Brentford blank. Yeah, I think if you can get through to game week 9 with all the players you want, then it looks good to hold it longer. Do I regret not having Salah? Not one bit, to be honest. I mean, the reason for me to have gone Salah in game week 1 was to captain him against Bournemouth. And to be fair, Salah did win out against Haaland, but it was 3 points. Like, it wasn't the end of the world. I've heard Spurs' attack is better suited for Arsenal and Liverpool than the low block. Yeah, possibly. Possibly. But I also don't think Liverpool and Arsenal are stupid, right? I mean, if you look at how Arsenal set up, I mean, to be fair, Rashford did kind of score in that way, but look at how Arsenal set up against Man United, right? I think they were conscious of that. They'll do the same against Son. If Martinelli injury is bad, is Trossard the way to go? How much is he? Personally, I don't see me buying another Arsenal player right now, to be honest. I just don't think the fixtures are good enough. 6.6 million. I mean, it could be a nice differential for a cheap price, but Spurs at home, Man City at home, Chelsea away. It doesn't scream rush out and buy me. Burnley will dismantle Man United. I mean, they might do. It could be better in possession. If not Salah, who else from Liverpool would you bring in if Salah's too much money? I probably wouldn't. Maybe a defender. I mean, possibly Darwin Nunez. I think the reason that he and Diaz didn't start was just because of international break. So if Nunez is still first choice going forward, he would be a consideration. But they've always got Gakpo and Jota that can play, so that would still worry me, so I probably wouldn't. Saka out. I probably wouldn't sell Saka, no. Probably wouldn't sell Saka. Do you think the players feel the pressure when the whole FPL community brings them in? Look at Chilwell, Son and Sterling. Could we spook Salah if we bring him in? I don't think so. I mean, Salah's had the weight of the FPL community expectations for 6 seasons. He's always done really well. What day is best for transfers? I mean, as late as possible, really. I would say. Best punt for game week 7 is Bowen to play then wildcard 8. I'd probably take a punt on double game week players. I don't think there's one answer to when is the best time to wildcard. It's going to depend on your team. Like, a lot of people are getting frustrated with the players they've got, so maybe now is the time to wildcard for them. But I think for me it'll be game weeks 9 or 10 or maybe 19. But I just don't see me holding it that long. Like, I guess wildcarding on Boxing Day is not ideal, but most of us would have already thought about what our wildcard will look like anyway. So it wouldn't necessarily be the end of the world. What about these yellow cards? It's annoying, but there's not much we can do about it. Jackson is 1 away from suspension, though. Alvarez is in a void. He's got Nottingham Forest next. Yeah, I know. I might not even captain Haaland. I'm too scared. I might captain Saliba instead. The thing is, like, Alvarez and Haaland might blank against Forest, and I would still captain them 99 times out of 100. Double Luton defence, see if Everton can keep up their record. Yeah, I mean, I've got Pickford now, Brentford away, Luton at home, Bournemouth at home. Surely he gets me 1 clean sheet out of those 3. Just 1 now, that's all I'm asking for. Yogesh, Madison to Bruno purely for fixtures. I honestly don't hate bringing Man United players in, but it's not a move you have to make. I think Madison's okay to hold on to. Like, if you've got nothing else to do, then targeting the Man United players, I really don't think it's that bad of an option with the fixtures. Like, Bruno maybe not been quite as involved the last couple of games, but like his expected data is still really good for the whole season. Plus he's on penalties, plus you know he's going to start, etc, etc, etc. I think he's still pretty good. Is Gordon a good option? I think it was quite interesting that Gordon started with Barnes. I don't know if I would go there, though. I don't know if I would want to take that risk. I don't even have Pickford, but I hope for it. I mean, it'd be nice if we could get 2 clean sheets in the next 3, but I don't want to get greedy. Is Trossard a must now that Martinelli is injured? He's definitely not a must, no. I mean, I don't even know I'm going to ask this because I know what the answer will be. But let's say I wanted to bring Trossard in. Who would I sell? Like, do I really want to get Trossard for Spurs at home rather than Rashford or Fernandes against Burnley away or Son against Arsenal away? Probably not. Pickford red card would be quite funny. But at least then I'd have an excuse to get rid of him. Surely have to consider Aston Villa players from game week 7 onwards. Fixtures are excellent. Yeah. I don't know if Watkins will fit in. I think trying to get Salah and Watkins could be quite difficult. But Diaby is definitely in my thoughts. I think for anyone wildcarding like 8, 9, 10, I think Diaby's probably going to be the best cheap, like 6.5-ish midfielder. Would you sell Foden if you had him this week? If there was a very good chance that Foden was going to start, I would not sell him before Forest at home, even though it's an awful fixture. What is your reason for wanting to sell Saliba over Chilwell and Estupiñán? Well, Estupiñán's got Bournemouth at home, and Chilwell was playing left wing, but to be honest, there is now a chance that I sell Chilwell before Saliba and just play Kabori maybe instead, or even just play Saliba against Spurs, even though it's not ideal. But Estupiñán, Bournemouth at home, I guess the question is why would I want to sell him? I know he didn't start, but I'm hoping that's an international break rest type thing. It's a bit weird that he wasn't in the squad at all, I guess, but I'm not worried about it right now. Plus, you get the fun of getting to play Kabori. There's nothing fun in that. Gusto, keep or sell? I'd keep him for now. Would you triple captain Harden next game at home? Probably wouldn't triple captain him though. That was Madison to Bruno and that was Madison to Mbermo, not Bruno. Well, yeah, I still think bringing in Mbermo in, it's not too late, but I do think this is the week if you're going to bring him in because he's got Everton at home, Forest away, one of the toughest fixtures in the league. Then Man United away, super easy, and then Burnley at home. I think if you leave Mbermo to game week 7 onwards, it gets a little bit trickier to justify him. So I've said, last few weeks, I've said you've not missed the boat for Mbermo, you've not missed it, still time to get him. But I think you are going to have, not missed the boat, but you're going to not have a great, how am I trying to say this? It's going to get worse to bring him in, basically. Long and short of it. Isak is out for a few weeks, according to who? I've not seen that anywhere. That would be interesting though, because Jackson to Wilson would be straight on the cards then. But I don't think he is. Højlund could be decent, but Ten Hag bringing him off was weird. I just think, like, hasn't he got a bit of a back injury? And plus he hasn't really played that much either. The thing with penalty takers is they could get one against anyone. Yes. I'm not sure what that's in relation to, but yeah. We should remember Spurs will have had 8 days of rest before they face Arsenal, unlike their opponents having a European match. You could say that Arsenal will be more match ready, though. Maybe not. Thoughts on Jackson to Alvarez this week? If you've got a spare transfer, I really don't mind it. My only worry with Alvarez is what if he isn't completely nailed? What if he misses one of the next two, Forest at home, Wolves away, and then Arsenal away is not great? I mean, to be fair, like Man City are scoring in all these games, aren't they? Like they're scoring in all of these games. Brighton, Man United, Bournemouth, Chelsea, Liverpool, and Spurs. Arsenal away is the toughest one they've got. So I think Alvarez is pretty good. Could be a decent long-term hold. I'm tempted. How likely am I to do the Jackson move? Do you know what? I'm kind of overthinking a bit now because I've made 3 even. I wouldn't say, definitely not rash decisions, but I've made 3 transfers where I didn't really need to do it. And I'm thinking, like, Jackson was bought in because of the fixtures. Aston Villa at home is okay. I don't really need to sell him. But also, Alvarez against Forest at home sounds really good. But we also went through this last week with Son against Sheffield United at home. So do I need to make the move? Maybe not. But I gotta be honest, since doing this stream, I'm coming around to the idea of playing Kabori. So even if I only got one move, which is like Chilwell to a Newcastle defender, I could just play Kabori instead of Saliba, and then I'd have room for the Jackson move. The thing is, if I do Jackson to Alvarez, that's me saying that I'm not getting Morris, and I'm not sure about that. I feel like I would want him for the double. So I might wait to get Alvarez until after the Arsenal away game. The problem is he's going to keep going up in price. Like he's already 6 point. Like Jackson started at 7, Alvarez started at 6.8. Jackson's 7.1. He's probably going to drop. I've already lost 0.1 million on him, and Alvarez is going to go up in price again. So it's going to get to the point where Alvarez is suddenly 7+ million. And I still don't have him. So that's what I worry about it. We all know you're going to end up on Morris captain. I don't know if I will. If Haaland was home to Wolves, I probably wouldn't. Away to Wolves, I might be able to talk myself into it. I mean, how much should we be worried that Morris came off in the 74th minute? They're chasing the game. Actually, when did Fulham score? I can't remember. I think they were chasing the game at that point, and he brought Morris off. Didn't start Adebayo either. Is there a chance that Adebayo starts and Morris doesn't at some point? Probably not, but I guess there's a little bit of worry there. Lamptey looked good. He did, yeah. Yeah, really good. I like Lamptey as well. I hope it kind of works out for him because he had a lot of injury issues. Captain Salah this week benefited me, and when I saw the West Ham defence against City yesterday, I think I'd take the bargain and captain him again. Yeah, maybe, but I think the West Ham defence also was made to not look great because it was Man City, and that Man City team was playing Forest at home. Now, I know how tough Forest at home is, but I don't think that Salah is better against West Ham than Haaland is against Forest, personally. Are we keeping Estepinian? I probably am. Unless there's doubts about him. If there's a doubt about him playing against Bournemouth, then I'll probably sell him. Like, I think with Saliba, it probably sounds like I'm like dying to get rid of him. I'm definitely not. But I think Arsenal concede in 3 of the next 4 games. Even against Chelsea, I think they concede. City and Spurs. So he's not really needed until game week 10 onwards. But if Estepinian's a doubt, then I'd just get rid of him because he's also not needed until game week 10 onwards. So we'll see. But I think it was just an international break rest. So I'm not particularly worried. Like I said. Doesn't Salah usually do well against the Hammers? Look, Salah's a good option against West Ham, right? The guy can't stop returning, but I don't think he's better than Haaland against Forest at home. Morris in a double game week can't be worse than Jackson. But the question is Jackson for Villa at home and then Morris double game week better than Alvarez against Forest at home and then Alvarez against Wolves away? That's the real question for me. Saliba's probably a keep on wildcard 10, so it'd be nice to keep him. Yeah, and obviously he's gone up in price. I do kind of agree, but would you not be tempted to get Gabriel or Zinchenko on wildcard 10? Maybe. I mean, Saliba's the most nailed, right? So I get why you'd want to keep him, and he's cheaper than Ben White. Would you not be a little bit tempted to get Gabriel or Zinchenko for a bit less money? Maybe. Is it worth the risk? Probably not, I guess. Laugh at all the people that said Salah wasn't worth it. Yeah, I mean, we're playing with hindsight a little bit here. I think after Bournemouth at home, no one was really saying that Salah was this good. I mean, Salah's 12.5 million. He's got 1 more point than Jarrod Bowen, 2 more points than Saka, 3 more points than Maddison, 3 more points than Son, 4 more points than Diaby, 4 more points than March, 4 more points than Ward-Prowse, 5 more points than Rodri for Man City. Like, Salah's good. Consistency is there, but it's not like he's really... Basically, what's happened here is Salah scored 10 points, and now everyone's changed their tune. Before that, it was 5-5-5 and 8, and he was still good. But now he scored 10 points. Suddenly, it's like a big problem not to have him. Yeah, you could say that's more than all of them, but also he's a lot more money, right? And people haven't been captaining him. All I'm saying is, no one was saying how much of a no-brainer Salah was until he just got 10 points. And no one's been saying that. And now all of a sudden it's like we've got to take hits to get him in. Like, you think I knee-jerk? Look at the comments. We should take a -4, -8 to fix up the team or wildcard. I think if you're looking at -8s and you've got a wildcard, then you've got to be slightly tempted to go for the wildcard, I would say. But I'd also be careful about whether you really need that many hits. Captain Morris, Game Week 7 is going to be a disaster. I can feel it, but I'll be there. Yeah, we'll all be there. I don't know if I can captain him, but the fixtures are so good. Everton away, Burnley at home. They're great. But you know for almost a fact he gets points. Yeah, honestly, I got to be real with you. You really don't need to tell me how good Salah is. Like, honestly, look at last season. I held him for ages, and all I got was loads of comments about how I should get rid of him. Trust me, I know how good Salah is, but I don't think the fact he's just scored 10 points now means everyone has to rip up their teams. Clown emoji equals instant ban, I'm afraid. Salah has returned every game I expected more than 10 points. Yeah. Could happen against West Ham. The thing is, like, this happens all the time. If Salah blanks against West Ham, you won't hear a word about him. Now, he probably won't blank because he's been so consistent. But it's just how quickly things change. I'm getting him anyway. Like, just give me a few more weeks and I'm definitely getting him. I've been saying that for weeks. He was on 3 assists before the third was reverted to an own goal. Yeah, I mean, it was an own goal though, to be fair, right? Why have you chosen to go with Son now? For Sheffield United at home. I got caught up. I got caught up in the hype and talked myself into it. But who knows? Arsenal away, Liverpool home. Maybe he scores in both those games. When is your anniversary? YouTube one, December. Ross Gunn got Botman, but struggling to target Newcastle. Apart from him, very difficult to predict who's nailed on the wing and up front. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I don't see a real need to go there unless there's injuries. To be honest. You're unintentionally funny. No, I'm just funny. Just hilarious. Just hilarious. Sell Son, he's not going to get a lot of returns. Yeah, I'm not selling Son. If I sell Jackson, it would be for Alvarez, not for Watkins. How old am I? Too old. Caught up in the hype. You were the hype. I don't think I was as bad as other people. I mean, how many times did I say... I said multiple times about Son that if he'd only scored 1 or 2 goals, we wouldn't even be talking about him that much. I tried to cool the hype a little bit, but still went for it in the end. Is Kabori worth it? I wouldn't bring him in unless you're downgrading the defender and you really need cash for another move. Won't lie, these streams help after a bad week, 25 points. I wouldn't worry about it. Loads of people have done bad this week. Like, I know it's so cliche. You're going to hear it lots this week from other content creators, but it's much better to have a bad week when everyone else is kind of low scoring. What's worse is when you score like 25 and everyone else has got like 50, 60, 70 points. That is a bad week where you just don't want to show up and don't want to talk about it. This was not so bad. Am I taking out Rashford or Bruno? No, I don't think so. Oh, when an anniversary? That was like a month ago. That Sterling post hit me hard as well. Yeah, Jackson hit the post as well. Though, to be fair, it's quite a long way out. I'm not going to create a wildcard draft on stream. The only good thing about Chilwell is he did come on for Colwell this time instead of just playing left wing. So maybe that means if he's not playing left wing in the next game, he will play left back. But I don't think I'll go there. If De Zerbi leaks that Ferguson starts, would you consider the punt? Nah, not interested. Because the problem is Bournemouth at home's great, but we don't know how many games he's going to play after that. I just, like, even look at João Pedro, right? There were so many injuries and stuff. I thought he's a dead cert to start against Man United. Then he started Lallana instead. I just think Ferguson will continue to be managed. I know people think he's so great, there's no way he can be benched, but he is going to be benched. It's going to happen. I guess the only thing is European matches. So maybe someone like Welbeck starts them and Ferguson starts in the league. But I just don't see it. I think De Zerbi's going to want to go big on the Europa League. You reckon Jackson been down the bookies with Tony? That face plant header and the shot 10 yards wide. That shot was really bad, yeah. Really bad. I think with the header, I just don't think he really read it or just didn't realise it was coming to him that soon enough. Time to get rid of Isak with Champions League coming up. I would wait and see what happens in the Champions League. Like, if Wilson gets an injury, then suddenly Isak's great. You think Chilwell's the biggest flop this season? I don't think so. I mean, he's only returned twice, to be fair. But I don't think he's the biggest flop. I mean, maybe for the hype. Maybe. Is double Newcastle defence too much? Nope. Definitely not. I'm considering it myself. Everyone wants to triple captain Haaland all of a sudden. I probably wouldn't do that personally, but you never know. You never know. Bruno's the biggest flop. He's not done great. That is true. He's dropped in price. Not great. Spurs fans will love it if Pochettino gets the chop now. I mean, it's going to be interesting. He's not going to get sacked anytime soon, I don't think. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Not going well for Chelsea. It's not going well for Man United either, to be honest. It's nice to have someone else in the same boat. Is Mbeumo's time over? Well, because he's blanked once against Newcastle away. Certainly not. He's got Everton at home. Ah, come on. Don't start with the Pickford stuff. Don't start with Pickford again. Is it time to get rid of Chelsea Man United players? Probably not. Anyway, I think we're going around in circles now. So I'll leave it there. If you've enjoyed that, make sure to give it a like. Hit that subscribe button. Trying to hit 400,000. If you listen on podcasts and you've made it this far, please do rate 5 stars. It really helps out as well. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your Monday if you're listening then, or Tuesday, whenever you're listening. Don't panic about your team too much. Most of us have had a pretty bad week. I would say it'll all be better in Game Week 6, but that might not be the case. But either way, any rage transfers you're thinking about making, suddenly using the wildcard, you probably don't need it. Just sit back and relax. We'll talk it all through this week on all the videos, and then we'll go from there. So thank you for joining me. Give it a like, hit subscribe, rate 5 stars on podcast, and I will catch you again soon.